Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Heartwell Dev stream, the live stream series where I continue to develop this adorable Souls-like action RPG with platform mechanics and multiple endings. If you find these dev streams interesting and helpful, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and boop that bell button to stay notified. Now, you have to be looking at the date here and saying Antomicx. It's been over almost a month since you last streamed. What's going on? So, I took a little hiatus from. Also, hello, Copper Nicholson. Thanks for dropping by. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. I'll read that message in a second. So, I took a bit of a hiatus from Twitch because I was feeling a bit burned out in general. And that hiatus actually helped rejuvenate me in a number of helpful ways. I've actually found myself able to work even more on Heartwell when I was during that hiatus than at any point during the previous 3 years. And it's not just because I wasn't streaming, it's just also because I was able to have more presence of mind and try to focus on what really mattered. And as a result of that, the stream schedule has changed a bit in that the streams are now occurring on Wednesdays, and I'm alternating between Heartwell every other stream, and then the other streams will be challenge-run streams. And speaking on that point, we'll be picking up with the Elden Ring DLC starting next Wednesday. But just circling back to what I've been up to at Heartwell, anyone who's taking a look at the Heartwell Steam page recently will probably have noticed that there is some new new artwork there, and that was something we commissioned for the Steam page by none other than one of the developers of Secrets of Grindia. I think they did an absolutely amazing job on the promotional art for Heartwell, and I'm very thankful for all the hard work they put into all the capsule images that are now being used for the Heartwell Steam page. So outside of that update, I've been hard at work on Heartwell's artwork. In fact, I actually finished implementing all the new tile sets in Heartwell. So if you'll notice, let's run this for a second. You might know, ignoring the green rectangle here for the rework, the entirety of Bardoff Well in all 3 floors actually now have completely new background art, and that's to help make everything a lot more identifiable, easy to see, things like that. So that's been implemented. I've also been working on some new phases for both the Madsmith and Skull Splitter boss fights. I've already got the artwork drawn for that. I just need to actually put it into start programming those phases. And importantly, the 2 other important things. One is that I've started writing a lot more for Heartwell's lore, doing more world building, so I'm actually making a conscious effort to work on that constantly, because there is a lot of lore to be written for Heartwell to make sure that everything's all here to bring about this world to life. And the other important thing, as we'll do here, is I've actually done a tad bit of work on the full screen rework. Namely, I've defined a number of of global values that will allow me to edit various location ranges for the Heartwell for the manifest stat menu in the future, if that ever proves to be necessary. So this is more so like a future-proofing step. And as a result of that, we will actually be going back through some of the things we did in the previous dev streams in order to implement this. Because what this will allow us to do is, let me close that for a second. What this will allow us to do is, instead of having to go into every single line of code and every single frame just to edit like one coordinate, it will instead allow us to do that all at once from this right here, because global values apply to the entire the entirety of the game, and they're best suited for values that just do not change ever during gameplay, or change very rarely and have a starting value that will always have to be the same. And that's why you haven't seen me use global values too much, because the things I've typically used them for are like for some of the respawn mechanics and save file numbers to make sure that things don't crash. But in this case, this is actually a good use case for them, because if ever there came a time where I needed to edit positioning on the stat menus again, I would be able to just edit it all from this menu and it will automatically update everywhere else. Because it would be calling these variables from one source as opposed to having to manually edit each individual line of code in various frames. And that'll be especially important as Heartwell, as we eventually expand to the other regions in Heartwell, because I'll just add more frames with more programming. So, as a result, our focus will be on that tonight. And now I shall read the message that Copper Nicholson posted. Read a message as Toa. Wellity, wellity, wellity. Look who's finally back online after all these months. I think it was only 1 month, but anyway, Antomicx went out to get milked about a year ago, and now he's finally returned home. I hope you're ready to get a non-stop barrage of meme content, because I've been saying on a month of actualized posts. Tons of useless lore about Transformers, MLP, Dungeons & Dragons, and so much more. I even have some really weird stuff no one has heard about, like Bionicle and Overwatch. Be sure to comment, and Dorothy Heartwell below. Alright. With all that being said, let's continue. So, I believe our first starting point is going to be line 394 in the section in Central Well, because that is the line that dictates where the manifest stat book actually appears on screen. So, relatively speaking. So notice, chat, if I do pull up this right now, we've already moved like the background UI to, be centered in this green rectangle here, which is our ultimate goal. But obviously a lot of the text and buttons are still completely misaligned to where they used to be. So this kind of looks like a bit of a mess. But we just essentially want to change the variables that do this, the values that do this to be variables to reference the global values. So in other words, when we make this change, this should not look any different, because we're essentially trying to get the same value put in there, just from a different source. Alrighty. So, line 394. Go on over to here. And yep, that's where we're going to make our first edits. So let's swap over to the code view. So that's a bit easier to see what we're editing. Okay, now instead of 130, I'm going to reference manifest stat book x offset. And for this, we will instead reference manifest stat book y offset. And if we did everything correctly, it should appear at the exact same position as before. All right, let's do a little running test. So I'm holding the sprint button. So let's just go, okay. Yep, still looking smooth. I mean, every rectangle isn't looking smooth, that's just something going on there. Let's see here. All right, so that's there. Now we just need to propagate that through the other frames. So copy that. The line is 331 in the lower well. Okay, let's grab this, the Y offset. There we go, delete that. Okie doke. Oh, also, I'll mention, chat, it is the second to last day of the Steam Summer Sale. So if there, I'm curious, chat, are there any games that you all have been interested in that you finally got during the Steam Summer Sale? As I'll let you know, I found 3 games that were like 90% off or more that I was like, huh. If they're that much on sale, I might as well get them. And those games were Civilization 6. I think one of the Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon games, and believe it or not, Celeste, because Celeste was actually on sale for almost 90% off, and it's like, that's a game that I know is excellent. I haven't actually had the chance to play myself, and I'm really hoping to get the chance to play that at some point, just because I've heard it's one of the best platformers, one of the best indie platformers just ever. It's like, it's supposed to be up there with the likes of Super Meat Boy. So that's very much something I'm looking forward to. Let's see here. Hey, no worries, Dr. Nettleson. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Feel free to come drop back later if you feel so inclined. All right. So there's that. Now we go to the depths. So line sits at 15. This is another reminder, chat, of the importance of making good documentation, because this makes it so much easier to navigate the literal thousands of lines of code that we need in order to make the adjustments that we have to. It's line 16. So I think I add a line of code somewhere. Alrighty. Let me delete that. Let me delete that. And now we go to the test frame, line 276. Wow, almost got that first try. Nice. Grab that. Grab that. Okay. And we'll add those on in. Oh, also, I'll be right back, chat. 1 second, forgot to mention something. Okay, sorry about that, chat. So, let's continue. We have found the line of code we want. Now we make the edits. Must grab this first. We need that Y-frame, as that is what controls where this will be. There we go. Manifest output X offset, manifest output Y offset, delete, delete. All right. Now we'll put a little star there to reference that we've completed these. All right. That's up lines 772 through 774. In the central wall. Yep, here we go. First up, we have the X mouse coordinates. 348, I believe, is melee ranged page weapon description X1 offset. Okay. We'll place that on down. Let me do melee range page X2 offset. Here we are. Then we do melee range page weapon description Y1 offset right over there. And finally, oh, welcome back, Copper Nicholson. Are you excited for us to continue working on the full screen rework? I actually did some testing during the hiatus to make sure that, at least in principle, the method we're using here will work for the full screen rework. And it turns out that, you know, that testing was successful. So now it's a question of actually implementing it. Ah, I see, Copper Nicholson. So you're not nearly as excited for this as you are for the other updates that are coming next to Heartwell. Things like changes to how the changes to how the stamina how stamina regeneration works, like making sure that agility is what was I saying? Oh, yeah, making sure that agility actually increases stamina regen rather than reducing certain the cost of like jumping, dashing, and running. Let's see here. Well, I mean, it is important to have an opinion, Copper Nicholson, and I'm glad that you like Heartwell. Because it's, you know, I really do pour my heart and soul into everything that I'm doing with this game. I am very passionate about the story that I want to tell with this game. And I'm also really excited for just the overall gameplay as well. Like, I feel like once you make once we refine like the core gameplay loop of Heartwell into the best version and that we can make it, then I think the game will really start to shine. Because having that solid foundation is so important before jumping into things that get more complicated. Like, for example, I don't think a game like Portal or Portal 2 would play as well if the Portal run physics were not just super on point. Because, you know, how the portals interact with the world is just so fundamental to how those games work. So I'm sure Valve probably spent an enormous amount of time just really polishing that core gameplay loop. And once they had that polished, that's when they really started to go in depth with the different with the different levels and portal chambers and such. All right. Now on the subject of Portal, you want to know something completely random I did just on a random day during the hiatus? I decided, you know what, I want to go back into Portal 2 and just try and reduce how many portals I used in some test chambers. And I went and did that, and it was a lot of fun. It was very silly, but it made me remember the time we spent doing the challenge run for Portal Stories Mel, and the crazy shenanigans that involved. But seriously, Portal Stories Mel is, you know, a very, very, very well put together mod. Definitely worth playing. Let's see here. Oh, and since we're on the topic of streamers, I am going to mention that one of my favorite YouTubers, Nico B, actually started playing Trails in the Sky. On the one hand, I'm super excited because that means that Nico will get to appreciate the awesomeness that is the Trails series. But on the other hand, I'm also kind of sad because it's like, ah, man, I can't watch it because I don't want to have spoilers for Trails in the Sky. So, you're gonna hear this here first, chat. After we finish the Elden Ring DLC challenge run, bear in mind, you know, that's going to truly start in earnest next Wednesday. After that, when we go back to a Trails challenge run, I'm just saying it right now, I fully intend the next Trails challenge run to be Trails in the Sky. Now, it might seem a bit odd because, you know, there's another game in the Trails from Zero series, that being Trails to Azure. But the thing is, Estelle and Joshua were in Trails from Zero, and they not only did they intrigue me a lot, but they also basically carried us through the entire final dungeon. Like, I do not think that final dungeon would have been possible, or it would have been exponentially more difficult than it already was, had Estelle and Joshua not been in guest characters at that moment. So as a result of that, and the fact that the Trails from Zero challenge run does not really end on a cliffhanger, at least not nearly to the extent that Trails of Cold Steel 1 did, I feel fine kind of putting Trails to Azure kind of on the back burner for a bit to try and go through the original trilogy of Trails games first. And I think that'll be better in the long run because, you know, if Estelle and Joshua are already there in Trails from Zero, I have to believe they'll at least show up for some amount of time in Trails to Azure. And if I had like the full context of their story, I think that would make the moments in Trails to Azure hit so much better. So that's something else I'm just genuinely excited for. Also, I'll mention that what was I saying? Sorry about the chat, just completely lost my train of thought. Where were we? Ah, yes. Must make adjustments here. This is all about positioning. Grab that. Oh, and speaking of Trails, Copper Nicholson wants me to read a message as Milliam, a character from Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2. When you break the sound barrier, you create a sonic boom! But what happens when you break the light barrier? No one's ever done that. I mean, can anyone go faster than the speed of light? Can I go faster than the speed of light? That's an interesting question, but if anyone can break the sound barrier, I'll be sure to do it with Lammy. A sonic rainbow boom occurs when your velocity accelerates so drastically that it creates a massive wave of light in the form of a rainbow! Yay! Such an event releases highly concentrated magical energy that has wild effects on organic tissue. This is all highly legitimate scientific data and has been thoroughly documented by Yellowcake, Pumpkin Spice, and Princess Twilight Sparkle herself. I should know, I read about it on fanfiction.net, and that's clearly a viable source. Whatever you say, Milliam. What chaotic thing will Milliam say next? Tune in next week to find out. Okay. Yeah, that's the other thing to say about Trails in the Sky is, you know, a game had to be first. If there's any series, some game had to be first. And the fact that Trails in the Sky was strong enough on its own merits to get a sequel that later spawned into the Trails series that we know and love today, that gives me at least some expectation that the game will be good. on some level, like at least good enough to justify a sequel. So that does make me very interested to see kind of what the humble beginnings of Trails is. Let's see here. I see that the Sod Rainbooms are canon to fanfictions everywhere. I'm glad you pointed that out, Topper Nicholson. Yeah, fanfictions can be a lot of fun. I find fanfictions to be a nice way for especially new writers to kind of get their feet wet, because the hardest thing to do when writing a story is to write a story from scratch, because you have literally nothing to start with, and you have to do all the world building from scratch. That takes a lot of time. And I'm saying that speaking from experience. Like, I'm more than 3 years into developing Heartwell, and I've done some world building throughout that process, and I'm still nowhere near the amount of world building that I feel I need to truly convey the lore of the world. But one of the nice things about fanfiction is it takes out the legwork of having to create the foundational world beneath it from which to make the story. And you can simply, as with any kind of writing, it's a lot easier to add to something that already exists than it is to write something completely new. And that's something to be said philosophically about a lot of things in life in general. Like, it is very hard to start creating something that grows into something stable, but it's very easy to add to something that's already stable. Much like how it takes a lot of effort to turn one acorn into an oak tree, but once there is an oak tree, it takes a lot less effort, relatively speaking, for that oak tree to sprout individual leaves. So where were we? Oh yeah. Keep adding these different values. All right. What? No, stop. Okay. Don't want to accidentally add something that I don't want to. Scrap that. Okay, now let's grab the X2 offset. Now we'll grab the Y1 offset and the Y2 offset. There we go. All right, that's line 772 to 774, all edited. Oh, I should, okay, actually no, wait, it is listed here. Yeah. All right. Fairly confident in this, so let's test it out. Oh, it's weapon selection, my mistake. So weapon selection should be up here somewhere. Yep. There we go. Yep, so as you can see, chat, you know, where our mouse cursor is lines up with where the melee button, well, where the different melee weapon buttons should be. So that's working as intended, even if everything else is kind of off center at this point. All right. So now we do what is known as the copy pasta, chat. So we grab these lines, we control C. Then we go to line 709 in the lower wall. All right, we paste these in. Bada bang, bada bum. Then we delete the old lines. So, whoa, okay, well, I've selected too many. This should become line 713. And it did. All right. Good. That's the lower well. Now to the depths. 9A3 to 9A5. Once again. Then we delete those. Yep. And from that, we just have the test frame to go. Line 654 through 656. Yep, here we are. Now we remove the others. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out already, chat, it's just a reminder that the Steam Summer Sale, I believe, is on its second to last day. So if there's any particular games you're interested in getting while they're on sale, this is, you know, the Steam sales tend to be the best times to do those. Alrighty. Got that. That's good. Nice. Alright, that also looks good. That's good. Cool. And with that, we're actually done with this particular action. We can move forward to the next action, chat. We're moving forward. Let's go. Officially progress. Now we're entering new territory. And I know that because we've only highlighted the line that's in the version for the central well. I'm trying to do less 709. There we go. Try to use autocorrect to do some math calculations. There we go. Should be line 807 for the lower well. And then we have which line would that be? Okay, so we add 11, 211 added to that line. Yeah. For the depths, we have 1081. And for the next one, test frame. $118. $752. Now, not all these will necessarily be right, but they should at least get us into the ballpark of where we need to be for these lines. So let's go to line 870, 807. Yeah, start with line 870. And since I brought up the Elden Ring DLC before, so like I mentioned on the Discord server, I have played a bit of the Elden Ring DLC, but I've deliberately, I've done my best. I do not think I've fought any Remembrance bosses. Well, I mean, I don't think I've defeated any Remembrance bosses. Like, I think I might have encountered, actually, physically seen one Remembrance boss, but I haven't actually, beaten any Remembrance bosses yet. And I've gone out my way to really try to avoid the obvious legacy dungeons. But that's also led me to discover that there's many places you can go in the Elden Ring DLC without ever actually entering the legacy dungeons or thoroughly exploring the legacy dungeons. I was shocked at just how much of the map you could access without actually defeating any bosses, or maybe defeating a minor boss in a side dungeon. It's really impressive just how much there is to, how much From Software has jam-packed into such a tiny area. Well, I say tiny, relatively speaking. It's much more vertically designed than the Lands Between are. And that actually makes it feel a bit more reminiscent of Dark Souls 1 in an interesting way, which I like that. I do like that idea of being able to see so many different unique areas so clustered together, and they're all, but having to be able to get there requires some kind of intricate path. It's really cool. Let's see here. Hey, PBA Pretzels! Thank you so much for dropping by. Welcome back to the first stream after the hiatus. How you been? We are actually future-proofing our edits for the Manifest Statbook change for the rework there. Also, PBA Pretzels, thank you so much for the gift sub. I really appreciate it. What's new in your world? I had a very, let's just say I had a very productive and reflective time during the hiatus, and I'm excited to be back. It's I feel very rejuvenated to work on Heartwell. I've also been working a lot more on video essays. In fact, I'm hard at work writing the video essay for Elden Ring right now. The Elden Ring challenge run. Whoa! That is a lot of gift subs, Peeper and Pretzels. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Jet Hype. Yeah, I agree. Jet Hype. All the hype. All the hype. All the hype. Let's go. Okay. But yeah, like one of the things I did while I was on the hiatus is actually made this little global value table of different values for that affect the location of things in the stat menu. And by doing it this way, it will actually allow me to what's it called? It'll allow me to make edits in one place as opposed to in each individual line if this ever becomes necessary again in the future. All right, so this is the mouse click check. Yeah, that's what this is. Okay. That's what I'm working on right now. And I'm super excited to get moving on this because I'm not sure if you saw the news Peeper and Pretzels on the Discord server, but I actually have implemented all of the new tile maps for the tutorial dungeon. They just haven't gone live on the actual demo yet because I'm not going to be able to post like a patch for the demo until I get this full screen rework working. But if you're curious what some of the new areas look like, you can kind of take a look here. We got, well, not new areas, but just some of the new artwork looks like. You can see we've got some new, much better way to, it's much easier now to see the difference between floors, walls, things like that. It's also a lot more colorful now. Like, I think it was actually the right call to, I really appreciate the feedback everyone gave about trying to make things a bit more visible, because as you can see, like here especially, you can see it adds so much more to the room. It also makes it so much clearer just what the different elevations are. Oh, thanks, Peeper and Pretzels. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. Also, something I mentioned is we have some new promotional art for Heartwell. So if you haven't dropped by the Heartwell Steam page recently, I highly recommend you check it out. I think the developer of Secrets of Grindia did a fantastic job on the commission for the for the promotional art. Oh yes, that's an improvement. I remember this from, yep. You did definitely see, like, it's so much easier to tell what the different elevations are now, because now they're actually color coded as opposed to just being like, where's everything? And there are similar changes made to the lower well and the depths as well. And those have me really excited because I'm also hard at work working on second phases for the Skull Splitter and Madsmith boss fights. So that's something I'm super excited about because one of the changes I'll eventually be making here on the Heartwell roadmap, like I mentioned, the roadmap is that the base amount of XP earned from defeating enemies is going to be increased to more encourage players to level things up, because that's a very key part of the gameplay loop in Heartwell. But as a result of that, I figured, okay, we need to make the bosses a little bit more difficult to compensate for the fact that players will generally be higher leveled and have access to more things. And while I'll still probably need to adjust the max health of the bosses to account for that, I figured that simply adjusting the max health by itself would be kind of bland. So I figured, why not add second phases to each of them, so that to each of the boss fights, so that they're not only more memorable, but also do a better job of, well, teaching the player about the lessons I want them to learn from these bosses. So that's got me super excited. Read a message as Sonic. Amongst the myriad of homebrew subclasses I've developed, the Way of the Windrunner mod is the closest I've come to actually publishing. It is designed to represent a speedster archetype like the Flash, like me, or Rainbow Dash. There's an overview of the latest draft. As third level, you gain the ability to take the dash actions as a bonus action without consuming any ki points, and whenever you use ki to take the dodge or disengage actions, you also gain the benefit of a dash action. Interesting, Dr. Nicholson. Yeah, I like the idea of a speedster in Dungeons and Dragons. Definitely opens up different opportunities there. All right, so this is I believe this is the file level up thing. Let's make sure I have like a screenshot for that. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I'd like to note that we finished this first one, so we'll put a little star there. Excuse me. And oh yeah, I think I mentioned this before, but I'll bring it up again. I've started outside of stream also working more on the video essays. Next video essay I'm working on is the Elden Ring Bow Only challenge run. And as part of that, you know, we'll be continuing the challenge run for Bow Only in the Elden Ring DLC that came out recently. Like I mentioned before, I've already dove a little bit into it, the DLC, but I've done my best to avoid legacy dungeons and remembrance fights, so I'm really excited for that. Starting next Wednesday. Let's see, line 807 in the lower well. Okay, copy that. Let's see here. Looking forward to some vids for sure. That's awesome, PB and Pretzel. I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I'll also mention, for those of you who like the Trails Challenge runs, the next Trails Challenge run, so what I intend to challenge run after Elden Ring, unless there's some major game that comes out that really excites me, it's going to be Trails in the Sky. And that might seem a bit odd because it's not the game that comes immediately after Trails from Zero. It's actually the very first game in the Trails series. But the thing is, some characters in Trails from Zero named Estelle Bright and Joshua Bright are actually like the main characters in Trails in the Sky, and they were really cool, and they basically carried us through the entire last dungeon of the game. Like, if not for them, we would not, it would have been either impossible or pretty darn close to it to actually finish the Trails from Zero challenge run. So all that's to say is, I think because of that and the interconnectedness of the Trails stories, I think it'd be worthwhile to actually go back to Trails in the Sky and do a challenge run of that game and perhaps the other two games in that trilogy before we go to Trails to Azure, because I think that'll just enrich the experience of Trails to Azure. So that's something I look forward to in the distant future. Now let's go to line 807. Yep. So I believe if I place that there, it should load exactly the same except for those lines there. And I'm not noticing anything else any different. Yep, okay. So now we delete this line and only this line. And from that, yep, so now that's the only line there. That's the mouse click check for weapon selection. Cool. All right, so now we go to the depths, which I believe, line 1081. Let's see if I'm right about this. Yep, there it is. And we remove that. Oh, also, Peeping Pretzel, since you're here, did you get any games during the Steam summer sale? I know I picked up Celeste, Civilization 6, and I think it was one of the Ghost Recon games because they're all like 90% off. At that point, it's like paying only around a little over $10 for games that collectively should have cost around $150. Like, oh, you missed out on the Steam sale? I mean, I think the summer sale still has like a day left, so I don't think you've completely missed out on it if you checked in. Though I might be wrong about that, but I thought it said it ends on July 11th. Or was there like a very specific game you were excited for, like a super sale on that you missed? Yeah, you'd be surprised, Copper Nettleson. Like, during the Steam sale, like I said, I think Estelle was not Estelle. I think like I'm saying Estelle. I'm alright. Got Trails in the Sky on the mind. I think like Celeste was only like $3. So, like $3 really isn't that much. Like me going to buy like a value meal at a fast food restaurant would be more expensive than that. So like there were some seriously good deals during the summer sale that I was really excited to see. Like even Civilization 6, like that being over 90% off. It's like a $50 or $60 game. Like when you see one of those that's like 90% off, you're like, okay. Might make me consider it when I otherwise would not have. I mean, and the other good news about Steam sales is even if this current Steam sale is over, and I'm not sure if it is, or PC is also pretty bad, and set up on a proper desktop, you bought a main PC that could run emulators up through GameCube at Spots Original. All right, I see. Any games you've been playing recently on those emulators that you found really engaging? Because there are some really fantastic games that are just a bit older and are now overlooked just because they are 10 or 20 years old at this point. But I honestly, like, playing some older games kind of makes me realize just how much a lot of modern AAA titles have just kind of lost their sense of purpose or direction in terms of what makes a game fun. Like, there was an PC ports for N64 and N64 recently. Ooh, like what? Let's see. Yeah, I think the N64 had some great games. Donkey Kong 64, Mario 64. There was Gauntlet, that was a fun game. And now we have line 752. Yep, here we are, line 752. Paste that in. Everything looked the same, good. Okay. 74. Cool. All right, there's that. I know you're not into Zelda, but Majora's Mask just got 2 different PC ports in the past couple of months, so you can actually play it 16:9 HD with 60 FPS instead of the original. Really? Well, I just saying that I'm not interested in Zelda isn't really the fairest assessment because I've never, besides like the Wii, I've never owned a console that could actually play a Zelda game. And for the record, on the Wii, I did rent like Twilight Princess for a time, and I did enjoy it while I was able to play it. So it's not that I'm not interested in Zelda games, it's more so just the console I use, being the PC, generally doesn't have access to it. So that's basically like saying I'm not... That would basically be like saying I'm not into Fire Emblem. The reason for that is, again, because a lot of the Fire Emblem games I would be interested in, like Three Houses, are not on the PC. They're like exclusives to some other console. Like, there are genuinely some games I would love to play that just are not on PC. I think another example would be, I think Bloodborne would be another example. Like, that's been a PlayStation exclusive for the longest time. But yeah, Majora's Mask always seemed like it had such an interesting premise in the sense that you're constantly repeating the same day, and the passage of time really does matter a lot. I do have to wonder, though, does that get a bit repetitive at times, or is it kind of like, is there just enough time to do what you need to do in a way that doesn't feel like you're being rushed if you actually know what you're doing? Groundhouse saved the video game. Fair enough, but I'm more so thinking of it from the perspective of, like, maybe I'm like a really slow player, but I know what I need to do. Would I still be able to complete the game? Are there, like, checkpoints, so to speak, for certain things that happen in the game? Uh-oh. I've realized I've made a terrible mistake. So, okay. Melee weapon stat chat, melee weapon bar, and special stat chat. Range weapon stat chat, range weapon bar, and okay, so the mistake I made, chat, is in the depths, these groups are ordered differently. Oh dear. Okay, melee weapon stat chat. Well, I'm glad I checked this. This could be something I easily could have missed. Might as well check. I should probably double check the other lines too, just to be safe. There's usually enough time to get set up to the next dungeon reset, then use shortcuts to get into the dungeon which you unlocked last cycle and beat dungeon. Then you can reset again, look for the next dungeon. Okay, so it's like you unlock shortcuts and those don't reset or in a day. So there are some things that like don't change day to day. It's just other things that reset. Okay. It's gonna be ranged weapons, yeah. Ranged weapon stat check. Ranged weapon bar and special stat check. You were talking a while back how no one here was hyped for Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, that's just because I don't have, I don't have a Switch. So I couldn't necessarily be hyped for it other than to just read about it or watch a Let's Play of it. Alright, read a message at Sarah. Also, at third level, your step on the wind allows you to spend at 1 key point to take 2 dash actions as part of the same bonus action, as well as triple your jump distance for the turn. If you move at least 20 feet in a straight line towards a creature before making an attack, you can push it out to be about 10 feet if the attack succeeds. If pushed into an obstacle or another creature, the target takes bludgeoning damage equal to 1 of your martial arts dice. You also gain advantage on initiative rolls. It sounds to me like Sarah would be interested in playing a monk subclass. Which doesn't surprise me, given that Sarah likes to be in the thick of fights. Yep, oh dear. No, this needs change. Why you do this? This is why we check lines, chat. We have to be careful about copy pasting. It's not everything lines up exactly. Okay, I think that should all line up. Okay, so it's melee weapon stat check, melee weapon bar and special stat check, ranged weapon stat check, and ranged weapon bar and special stat check. Okay. Okay. Alright. Hello, Twin! Thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Welcome back to our first stream after the hiatus. And we are making good progress on Heartwell tonight. Okay, so that all seems to line up. I'm actually going to do a double check chat of the previous lines we did tonight, simply because I want to make sure we didn't accidentally mess up those groups, because we did. Then that's going to, if I don't fix that, that'll cause a lot of save file problems that won't be inherently obvious when testing. And we don't want that, because that would be bad. So let's take the gander, chat. Line 772 through 774. Okay, so weapon selection value. Okay, that should be fine. Alterable value strains. Okay, those should be fine because it's calling the object. Alright, that should also be fine. But just to be safe, let's check the depths, because that one is off center. 983 to 985. Alright, so for those who have played the Heartwell demo, here's a question for you, chat. Which way do you, when the full release of Heartwell comes out, which way do you intend to leave Bardolphwell, and why? Because bear in mind, there are 3 different ways to exit Bardolphwell. And they all lead to completely different areas of the game. Designing Bardolphwell, designing the tutorial dungeon of Heartwell was so much fun just because there's so many, I guess, isms or, things you see in tutorial dungeons that are just so linearized that I really tried to break apart from. Twin says north, the Highlands. Oh, do tell. What gets you excited for going north, Twin? What about the Polster Highlands? I mean, granted, there isn't that much in the game about them yet, but just kind of what's on your mind thinking of going north. That would be the exit that goes from actually climbing up the tall central section in the tutorial dungeon. Which, fun fact, that is the only exit one can get to if the goal is not to defeat any enemies. It is actually theoretically possible to escape the tutorial dungeon without actually defeating anything. But it just does require a lot of skill. And patience. Okay, 984. Yeah, battle lines up. What? Okay, that's still the manifest italicized help bot strained. Yeah, just looks different. It's, yeah, okay, so it's still the correct item. Twin says, you feel like since it's at a higher altitude, it can be a possible way to travel among the stars. Ah, I see, Twin, I see. That's an interesting theory. What about you, Peepin' Pretzels and Copper Nicholson? Have you guys played far enough in the Heartwell demo to reach one of the exits? And if so, which exit do you think you'd actually want to go through when the full game releases, and why? There's an exit in the demo. There are actually, you say there is an exit in the demo. That tells me, Copper Nicholson, that you haven't gotten very far in the demo, because there are actually 3 exits in the demo. And that is because the tutorial dungeon in Heartwell is designed to have branching paths. So even the tutorial has 3 different ways to beat it. So there's that. You're on the same Rose Opera. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, once I create the next patch for Heartwell, not only will there be the the full screen update, but it'll also be a lot easier to earn XP, and also the agility stat will go to something more useful. Oh, that's a shame, Copper Nicholson. I'm sorry to hear that. But hey, it's all the more reason for me to try and optimize Heartwell to the best of my ability. I mean, something I've already started thinking about is trying to, like, do some kind of self-imposed enemy limit for, for different areas in the game to try and cut back on some of the lag for PCs that don't have as high of, they don't have as high of a performance spec. Because while that would add, some more loading screens, I think that'd be worth it if it's would become more playable for players that don't have as high of end of PCs. It also helps with optimization too. Okay, so that set of lines seems okay. Though I will double check the test frame. Which we need to check. That's 54 through 56. Yeah, okay, that all lines up correctly. Now let's check line 3. Okay, sits 394, sits 1 sets. Read a message as Apollo. At 6th level, your speed allows you to escape from physical and magical bonds. You gain the ability to move through creatures and objects as if they weren't there. That's actually a really useful ability, though I'll make a comment about that later. You can use this to escape grapples and spells that restrict your movement speed. Every 5 feet of movement costs 1 key point. Also, at 6th level, you can now use your dexterity to perform grapple checks instead of strength. As part of the grapple check, you can also throw a grapple creature the same distance as your 3rd level ability. Seriously, the amount of times in, like, standard Dungeons & Dragons campaigns where, like, there are just too many enemies in one small area and it's difficult to maneuver and navigate, that's happened a lot. So having the ability to just phase through enemies as though they're allies would actually be quite useful. Like, that's a legitimately strong ability. Line 276. Okay, that should all be fine. Let's take a look. 394. right. Animation. Yep, that looks good. Yep, that looks good. All right. Whole point I saw us to move faster than anyone else, so having the ability to stay is vital. I agree. That does make sense. So if there's ever like a scenario where the objective is move object from point A to point B, or activate, you know, switches that are spread throughout the map, or find items in the map, like that class would be really powerful. Alrighty. So we've double checked that. We've double checked that. This one's all good to go. So now, chat, we move on to the last section for updating the manifest stat book. I know, right? Can you believe we're almost there with the manifest stat book? Like the most complicated thing to update for this update. If we get through this tonight, chat, this would be huge. Because, chat, this right here is the stuff of programming nightmares. It is one of the most complicated things I've had to put together for this game, and if we're able to finish adjusting this tonight, that would be really important. So let's see if we can do it. Start off line 877. Don't Thomas, thanks, Quinn. I know I keep doing my best. Yeah, so you just look at this, chat. This is one of the lines we have to edit. Just now, granted, not all of these have sections that need to be edited. A lot of them do. Just so many things. Now, this is just one line of code. We have 3 of them to go through. And also the fact that I'm seeing activate and deactivate group lines means I can't just copy paste this over. I'm going to have to go line by line. So, let's strap in, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be here for a little while. So I'd say, let's probably identify all the lines that are, first things first, all the areas that need it. So first we subtract 63 from that. Oh, we literally just, I'm looking at this, we literally just add 7 from the previous one, so that'll be fairly easy. So, 14, 1088, 759. Alrighty. Let's go. That's a cute emote you got there, Quinn. Little dancing dinosaur. I like that. Okay. Yep, here, line 815. Line 1088. Yep, here it is. Of course, line 759. Yes! More dancing dinosaurs! More dancing dinosaurs! More! More! Oh, it looks like Milliam really likes the dancing dinosaurs. Dance for me! Show me what you've got, chat! Show me your best as dancing dinosaur emotes! Well, Milliam, slow down there. This isn't a dancing dinosaur stream. No! I hereby declare a dancing dinosaur stream. We'll call it Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus Rex. What are you talking about, Milliam? Where were we? Oh yeah. Editing these lines. Speaking of reading messages, Milliam, no! See, Antomicx? See? Get Tyrannosaurus Rex, Antomicx. At 11th level, your mind begins to become as fast as your body, allowing you to take an extra action on each of your turns. Because after all, we all know that the ability to manipulate turns to have an extra action and is completely fair and balanced. Just like that Trails of Cold Steel 1. This can only be used to perform a limited range of actions. Use objects, grapple, single unarmed attack, help, or cast Chrono Burst for the umpteenth time. Your third level ability also expands, allowing you the option to push an enemy back 20 feet if you move 40 feet towards them. This also applies to grapple enemies too. Yay! Listen, the moment you add can take an extra action during turn to the sentence of any Dungeons and Dragons thing, you're already in a potential balancing nightmare. Like, I've actually, in stuff that I've run as a DM, like, anytime that there's anything that allows you to take more than one action in a turn, I always have to make sure there are some huge caveats to it, because otherwise it's just completely overpowered. Just being able to act twice, whether that's attacking twice or doing one attack and one something else, there's just so much you can do with that. So a lot of the balance of Dungeons and Dragons hinges on the idea of only being able to attack once in a turn. So the way I usually balance something like that is, if it's a spell, I make it cost increasing amounts of mana or related stuff if it's some kind of spell like that that you have to cast, so that it just gets harder and harder to cast, or more expensive to cast as you go, so that we don't end up with a Chrono Burst situation. And if it's just a passive thing, then I make sure there's some massive drawback to it. Well, the way I nerf it is, instead of limiting what actions you can take, because I think that kind of does a bit of a disservice to it, though, to be fair, I guess that's a decent way to balance it, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. The way I nerf it is, alright, you want to constantly have the ability to attack at a certain time? Good, but you're going to lose 2/3 of your health. Like, something heavy like that makes it so that, okay, if you're going to be super fast, you're also going to be super frail, or you're going to have like extremely low defenses, or be super or some other massive drawback, so where the player really has to make a conscious decision, like, okay, is this worth it? But not to the point where it isn't ever worth it. It's just more so fitting a specific niche. It's like a set of bonus action. Ah, I see. Alright. So now we have to grab our lines here. Okay. All right, so I see a 243 there. It's actually this thing here. I think the easiest way to handle this is going to be to go line by line and looking for the specific numbers. in each of the frames. That becomes 243. Invert 243. There's a 243. No, okay, that's for that one. Plus, characters are at the 11 level, so abilities will be a bit powerful. I mean, there's different levels of power. Like, if you've seen the... I mean, Copper, you've seen the Trails challenge runs. So you, of all people, should know just how supremely busted Chrono Burst is. Like, with Chrono Burst, like, in Trails of Cold Steel 2 especially, we trivialized a lot of the hardest bosses in the game with Chrono Burst. Now, granted, the drawback to Chrono Burst is, of course, it requiring some resources to keep putting in. But my point is, like, just the ability to act at all again is just such a powerful ability. Why don't you doodle search Trails of Cold Steel Chrono Burst Quartz, Copper Nicholson? How close am I to finishing up the resizing? I wouldn't say I'm close, Quinn, but I am on the last stage of trying to reposition everything for the stat menus, which would be a very, very, very major and important step in this process. Because, as you can see, the stat menus are one of, if not the most complicated part of this, and the part I was dreading the most. It's because there's just so many little lines here where it's easy to lose track of things. Quinn says, play Trails from the Sky, 100% recommend. Oh, speaking of that, Quinn, I will mention, after we finish the Elden Ring DLC challenge run, I do intend to, unless there's like some other major video game that really piques my fancy, I intend to the next Trails challenge run's going to be Trails in the Sky, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Like, Estelle and Joshua carried us through the final dungeon of Trails from Zero. Now it's their turn. Hey, Copper Nicholson, did you know the Trails games have difficulty settings, and one of those settings is easy? What's so funny, Peter and Pretzels? Right, that goes there. Now this is our jam chat. This is our jam. Da, 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 da. Easy mode, that's a good one. No, there seriously is an easy difficulty in the Trails games. Like, there's easy, normal, hard, and nightmare. I always play on nightmare because it's part of the challenge run rule set. But, you know, if you really want to just play the game for the story, you could just go on easy mode. To be fair, Antomicx, even the nightmare saying was not that bad. Maybe, like, if you know what you're doing, I guess not, but if you know what, but if you're playing with the challenge run rule set that I did, it is a nightmare. Like, Quinn, if you haven't seen my Trails from Zero challenge run, I'd highly encourage you to check it out, because that'll show you why nightmare mode is a nightmare with the challenge run rule set that I implemented, because it's like, enemies will just delete you. Like, just delete you and you'll do hardly anything to them. Well, you know, Copper Nicholson, The thing about the Trails games, especially the earlier Trails games, is they were actually made for mobile devices, so their hardware requirements are super low. My mode is a special bonkers mode. No. So there's easy, there's normal, there's hard, there's nightmare, and there's coma. Mine is coma. It's like, are you gonna wake up? Who knows? Inception mode, yes. This is Inception. Da da da. So what I'm doing right now, chat, is just looking for all the 243s and replacing them with the stat menu strained offsets for. Also, Copper Nicholson says, remessage as DJ Grooves. Finally, darling, at 17th level, you can cast haste on yourself for 3 key points without material component. You can spend 1 key point as a reaction to maintain concentration. You can also spend 1 key point to maintain concentration, and 1 key point to negate the downsides of the spell. Also, while the spell is active, you can spend 2 key points to temporarily freeze time for the duration of your turn. The effect ends early if you make an attack, cast a spell, grapple an enemy, or take damage. Please leave a comment if you have any notes about this build. Monsieur DJ Grooves, what is it, darling? I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, so I have no idea what you're talking about. You've never played Dungeons and Dragons? Boy, we gotta change that. Haste is the thorough assault, and one of the main features is doing its hard extra action on every turn. I see. Alright, show of hands. Chat, who here has played Sonic Heroes? Ah, the OG. Not you? Okay, fair enough, Twin, fair enough. Ah, you played Sonic Heroes, Copper Nicholson? What was your favorite stage? What was your favorite stage of Sonic Heroes, Copper Nicholson? And why was it your favorite stage? You don't remember any stages? Oh, that can't possibly be. The stages are all quite unique. Does this mean, have you actually played Sonic Heroes before, Copper Nicholson? Well, I can tell you that, thinking back to the stages of Sonic Heroes, the ones that stand out to me the most are Seaside Hill, Power Plants, Rail Canyon, and Egg Fleets. To me, those were like the best stages of Sonic Heroes. So like, and like, I'm so glad that I think in in Sonic Shadow Generations, they're actually bringing back Rail Canyon as one of the remaster stages. That I'm looking forward to seeing, because that was a really fun stage. Just constantly going over all the rails above like the deep canyon, trying to avoid all the trains everywhere, and just the militaristic aesthetic of the area. It all made the stage very, very memorable. And the thing about Rail Canyon is it genuinely could have been the penultimate light stage. Like, it was structured so well that you could have legitimately seen it as like the stage before the final boss, or like part of like the stage before the final boss. Like, I remember, like, when I was young, I first got to Rail Canyon, I'm like, wow, it feels like the story's really picking up. Are we about to fight the final boss? And then we find out that no, there was a third act to Sonic Heroes, with like Fraud Forest and the Misted Mansion, and then of course Egg Fleet. Do I think the time stop mechanic is too powerful? In Sonic Heroes, not really, because it doesn't last very long and you can't use it all the time. I think it's very useful in very specific situations, but it's very easy to waste it. Ah, you mean your time stop mechanic. So, you spend 1 key point to reaction and concentration. You'd also spend 1 key point to negate the downsides of the spell. So, also while the spell's active, you can spend 2 key points to... Okay, so my question is... sorry about that. So, I guess my question is, Copper Nicholson, how does key work? So the thing is, like, I haven't ever played a Munch subclass, so I don't know how, like, does ki regenerate? How much ki would you expect to have at that point? Like, at the point that you would unlock that spell? And is there ways to, like, earn max ki in the middle of a fight? Your ki points are equal to whatever month levels and recharges after a short rest. Okay, can you take a short rest during a fight, or would it have to be outside of combat? Alright, so the way I see it is that it's very... I would still say it is on the less balanced side for the reason that you only need to spend an additional key point on top of the 3 key points to negate the negative effects of the spell. And the way I'm reading that is, by essentially spending 4 key points instead of 3, you can essentially negate the effects that it ends early if you make an attack, cast a spell, grapple an enemy, or take damage. And if that's how that works, then that means that... Is haste something that only lasts for 1 turn, or is it something that can last for several turns? Negations for the haste effect. When the spell ends, you lose a turn. Okay, well, even so, just having to spend just 1 extra key to get rid of that downside, I could definitely see that still being very, very strong. Now, granted, the thing that... Yeah. Alright, I'd still say it's very strong, because you essentially get at least 3 casts of a very strong ability. And those 3 extra turns can make a lot of a difference if the idea is just to essentially focus entirely on like one enemy, and then you only need to wait an hour to get all your ki back. Do I think it's the most overpowered thing? No, but definitely on the stronger side. I see Copper Nicholson, I see. Okay. There it is. Okay. Yep. One of the nice things about ads on Twitch is that I'm pretty sure they remove, one of the nice things about subs on Twitch is I'm pretty sure they remove advertisements from the streams that you're sub to. So for people who aren't a fan of advertisements, that's one effective way to avoid them, I think. Ah. I see. Alright, then I guess it made sense in the context of where it is in the unlock path. So yeah, that makes sense, Copper Nicholson. Okay. All right. Okay, that's that for the 243. Now, chat, we move next to 88. This is a Y coordinate one. What am I doing, Quiness? So right now I'm slowly editing my way through the last chunk of code that affects where the different buttons and sections of the manifest are located. So if done correctly, then everything will be moved exactly where it needs to be for the full screen rework. Okay, it's my turn to make the D&D subclass. I refuse, because I'll just go make an entire rule set instead. I won't just make a subclass. I will make the foundation that the classes can even be created for. In other words, I am the class. Alright, so now we have to look for all the 88s, chat. Nope, there's an 88. All right. Let's just go from there. Cool. And now to repeat the same in the central well. But I feel in my bones chat, if we really power through this, we might be able to see the stat menu working properly in the rework setting tonight. All right. Have I ever considered publishing my homebrew gaming systems? Not really, just because I guess they're more self-contained. But they're also a lot of fun to just discuss in general. Gwen says, if you are the class, my subclass is Twitch viewer. Haste is a 3rd level spell that allows Twitch viewers to sub a stream. The downside is when haste spells over, you have to watch it. That's fantastic. Oh my goodness. Dungeons and Dragons, Twitch edition. Quite literally. The dungeon is the internet. Cue the Twilight music. Alright chat, roll for initiative. We can do this. We will do this. We're gonna make this stat menu finally align with our new vision. It's gonna look so good. Let's go. Let's help everyone see clearly what's in the stat menu by adjusting its position, so we can make it larger and more readable. Let's go. Okay. Well, you do seem very interested in Dungeons and Dragons, Copper Nicholson. Have you considered being a dungeon master? You know, running your own campaign? Cool. All right, that's the depths. Next up. So 423 is next. Yeah, there we go. Maybe repetitive right now, chat, but once all these variables are input, we'll just be able to change them from a central location, which would make any future adds way easier. So, a lot of these investments will be worth it. There's that. Nice. Okay. Now, over here. Over there. Yep. All right. That's that one. Next, 173. Yeah. 173. That's offset by 2. Okay. One seventy three, looking for 173. Alright, looks like 173 only applies to the first line, so I'll make this go a little faster. And our jams here, chat. Yay. Yay. Let's go. Joke. It's like 228 is next. Nice. Yeah, 228 sure seems to be a common Y coordinate. Yep, very common. Now those may be wondering, why don't I just edit one line and copy paste it elsewhere? Because the lines have different groups. I don't want to accidentally misreference a group, because that would cause everything to break. You have to be very, very diligent. Number 228. Okay, there we go. Yes. Okay. That's that. That's line. Time to hydrate. That's yep. What do I think is the difference between a cleric and a paladin? One is primarily on healing and buffs, and the other has a little bit of healing, but otherwise can act as a fighter. I'm going to repeat what I said, Confidential Sin. It's exactly what I said. That's how the role playing occurs as well. Okay, next up. Let's see here. Oh, I'm just continuing to edit the values that I've been doing before, Quinn. So slowly making our way through the different values and the different frames. This is all necessary because once all these are edited, we should be able to see the stat menu in its completely new position. So this particular value is a strained offset. I mean, it would be where the strains are located. Excuse me, in the stat menu. Okay, next up, the next value to edit is 230. That's this value here. And I organized them to this table so that's very easy to remember which is which. And I made sure to show the rework value in the previous value so I can very easily identify which value needs to be adjusted. So in this case, there's a 230. We'll just put this in. And I've already added in the global value what the new value will be. So this should automatically adjust. Okay. This one will be rather quick. There's just that. I have to do this for each frame because each frame has its own code for the menus. Yeah. Like that. Next up, 158. Oh, nice cat emote you got there, Quint. All right. Yeah. Good stuff. Next up. All right, 335's up next. We're down there, chat. Have I not? Have I seriously not used that one before? I guess not. Okay. Well, let's grab that. There's 335. And I think, yeah, it doesn't appear anywhere else. Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, each of these lines of code are for... They should be for different stat menu pages. Yeah, I can tell because of this value here. That value tells me which page is there. Have I watched Kill la Kill? Yes, I have, Quinn, and I would highly recommend it. It is an excellent anime. I mean, it is a parody of anime, but it is also a celebration of anime. And it has amazing characters. It's really funny. It actually has a really good story. It has good character development, a good supporting cast. Very, very, very iconic. But also an anime I would not recommend watching unless one is like super familiar with anime tropes and just general like anime themes, plot devices, things like that. Because since Kill la Kill is a very heavy parody of anime, it is very important to know that news that you're playing right now is from Trails in the Sky. Oh, that's cool, Twin. Do you know what the name of the song is that you're listening to at the moment? I'm not going to listen to it. I just want to make sure, since I don't want spoilers, I just want to know what the name of the song is so that when it pops up, when I eventually get to Trails in the Sky, I'll be like, ah, that's that song. Oh, sorry, you were saying the song that's playing right now sounds like it's from Trails in the Sky. Well, I don't think the song is from Trails in the Sky, because if it was, it would be copyrighted. You're saying it sounds a lot like a song from Trails in the Sky. I see. Alright, looks like 403 is next. Alright, Control C. Control C. It sounds a lot like Chapter 1 music from Trails, fair enough. Oh. I am noticing a... I never did get 400 or 50 in here, did I? Alright. Well, I'll have to rectify that. But first, I'll look for that 403. One, two, three, four. Who's my least favorite character in Kill la Kill? Let me think. Least favorite character until a till. I'd probably say the servant to radio, and that would be I even remember her name. Like that shows just kind of how forgettable they were as a character. No, like character arc, they don't have any character arc at all. It's like they're like the most stagnant character in the show. They're just kind of there. No, Twin. I'm referring to the character who wears sunglasses and has, I think, light purple braids. They're almost always seen with Lady Radio, but they don't really do much of anything. Like, I think they like defended Radio at one point, but that was about it. And they didn't really like develop that much as a character. Yep. Which characters did you pick, Copper Nicholson, to play in Super Smash Brothers? Okay. That's number. I believe is... I think Copper Nicholson pits Luigi. Luigi is a lot of fun to play with in Super Smash Brothers. The thing I remember about Luigi in Super Smash Brothers is that I think this is even a thing in the original Super Smash Brothers, is Luigi has an up smash that looks very similar to Mario's up smash, but there's one very key difference. And that's that if you perform the up smash against an opponent when you are both on the ground, you actually get like a home run hit effect, and it like just seriously launches your opponent far. That makes Luigi's up smash like one of his strongest moves, but it is very much risk reward because the timing to nail that home run hit from the up smash is really precise, positioning wise and timing wise. But if you get it, it's very much worth it. Come on, Antomicx, you can do it. I believe. I believe. I believe. Ah, I see, Quinn. I see. Fluff heaven. I see. Man. There we go. All right. And the depths. All right. That just leaves 450, 155, 98. Yeah, 4 numbers left. How about that? All right, chat. I know we're tired, but there's only 4 numbers left. I think we can push through. Yep. I got this. Thanks, Quinn. And thanks for the emote, PB and pretzels. Let's see what we can do. Like, this won't, like, even if I don't go through this, this won't completely fits the stat menu, but it'll at least get the stat menu object itself in the correct location. The buttons, of course, will have to be for a future stream, because there's, you know, there's many different stat buttons that need edits. But just getting the object would be a key milestone. Yeah. All right, just 4 objects. Sorry, 4 numbers left, and 4 frames. Or is this going to be like the next Zero Escape game? Instead of 9 persons, 9 wristbands, 9 doors, or something? It'll be 4 numbers, 4 frames, 4 4 tests, something like that. I don't know. You love Zero Escape? Oh, I'm glad. I enjoyed watching the Let's Plays, some Let's Plays of Zero Escape from Nico B. But they definitely look like great puzzle games. Which Zero Escape was your favorite Peep and Pretzel? Because I think there were 3 of them. Out of 999, yeah, that's fair. 999 is classic. I think personally, based off seeing the 3 different ones, I think structurally speaking, Virtue's Last Reward is probably the best one from a game design perspective. But I won't deny that 999 is an incredibly intense game of Sudoku. And if you know what that means, then you understand. It is a very intense game of Sudoku. Yep. Also, I like how, like, 999, the thing about 999 is it does have sci-fi elements, but they're hidden very well until like the very end of the game, to the point that you could genuinely see it, like a situation like that happening in real life. Whereas in Virtue's Last Reward, they go all in on the sci-fi elements. I actually really like that about Virtue's Last Reward. Like, I think it's really, really clever how they expand upon the concept that they presented in 999. The idea that people who have a strong connection between each other are able to like send messages almost to themselves, like to each other subconsciously between like different timelines, or even just different like different times in their own timeline. It's really fascinating. And it all lines up with how the game's structured, because that's literally what you do in the game, is you go back after seeing certain events in order to make sure certain events don't happen. So it's very fourth wall breaky in that sense. You need to replay those. Yeah, they're good games. Well, I'd say the first 2 are good games. The third game is a mess. And I'm talking about third game release order, not chronological order. So they tried to make a game that would be like the bridge between 999 and Virtue's Last Reward, but it just did not go over well. Like, it has like one of the most underwhelming endings and one of those underwhelming and unsatisfying endings I've seen in any game. All right. Now to the depths. Yep. 98 is next chat. 3 numbers left. Control C. Control V. Y2. Yeah. Lines up. Gotta look for those 98s, chat. Okay. Right, that's 98. Now we need 450. I don't have these here yet, so we'll have to make some new 9s. What is my favorite item in Smash and least favorite item? Good question. Favorite item in Smash? I probably have to go with the final Smash Ball, because that's always fun. Least favorite item in Smash would have to be... I'd probably say the fan. Like, the fan is like the most annoying thing. Like, it's not very... The thing is, it's not a particularly good item, but it's effective enough to be annoying. So, like, if you get, like, close to someone with the fan and they just keep constantly bashing you with it, they can build up a decent amount of percentage, you can't really do anything about it. So that makes it supremely annoying. What about you, Copper Nicholson? Especially remember Super Smash Bros. Brawl, there were some pretty, some of the final smashes turned out pretty insane. I think, like, Diddy Kong and Sonic had some especially, like, overpowered final smashes. Like, Diddy Kong would literally get a jetpack and explosive, and like, to dual wield, explosive peanut, firearms. That you could just spam explosive peanuts everywhere. It was really, really strong. And then there's, you know, Sonic as Super Sonic. You know, you're literally invincible, you deal damage on contact, and you could control Sonic, you know, very, very finely in order to really nail your opponents. Though if you're against people who are very skilled at dodging or just knowing how to evade certain final smashes, that makes a final smash like Olimar's I would consider top tier, because you can't, like, the avoiding Olimar's final smash is almost impossible to do because of how it functions. So the way Olimar's final smash works, and I think this is still the case even in the newer games where a lot of the other stronger final smashes were nerfed, is Olimar gets in his spaceship and then he flies off into space and the entire screen just goes high up towards the sky, while anyone who's below that screen ends up taking just a lot of damage buildup. It doesn't have any launch capacity, but it just builds up their percentage gauge a lot. And then Olimar's ship coming back down, if the explosion happens to be nearby where a person's standing, that can easily send them flying. And I think the ship can be controlled a tiny amount, to be slightly aimed while you are both while you're flying up and when you're falling back down. So the reason why I really like that final smash, besides just really liking Olimar as a Super Smash Bros. Character, is the fact that the only way to avoid it affecting you would be to, one, know it's coming, and two, you have to be like at the very top of the stage, and you need to have some kind of jumping combo and up smash combo that can keep you above the top of the stage barrier for like 6 or 7 seconds. And I have not seen, like, in all the time that I've played Super Smash Bros. Brawl and various other Smash Bros. Games, I've never seen anyone completely avoid the damage buildup from Olimar's final smash. In fact, I've only ever seen anyone partially avoid it, and it's only for like maybe a second or two, so maybe they avoid a tiny bit of the damage but not like all of it. So it's something where it might not be the flashiest final smash, but it is definitely very effective at what it's trying to do. Because with any other final smashes, you have to be like right next to the person for it to work, but with Olimar's, basically the moment you get the smash ball, like, you can just activate it immediately and it's essentially guaranteed to do something without any input on your part, and that makes it supremely good. All right, so looking at these global values, yep, that lines up with the new values. Good. What about you, Copper Nicholson? What's your favorite and least favorite items to Smash? Only 2 numbers left, chat. 2 numbers left. We can do it. All right, we're getting there, chat. Definitely getting there. One. Alright, PB Pretzel says how to work. Thank you for the stream, and hey, no problem, PB Pretzels. Thank you so much for dropping by, and I hope you have a great day at work. Alrighty. And then there was one number. That number was 50. We can do this, chat. We're so close to an important step in the rework process. So close. Okay. One, two, three, four, five, six. Last one. One, two, three, four, five, and six. All right, chat. Time to see if our efforts bore fruit. So, let's go here. Yo, look at that, chat. Almost. It's very close. These values over here. Why are they like that? Those are still to the right, but everything else is lined up. I'm going to need to figure out which page that is. Yeah, most of it's lined up. It's just some of it is off a bit. Which value is that? see. So judging by that, it's going to be it's whichever value shows the page number. Which one is that? Oh, it's actually, let's make an edit, chat. It's not 320. Let's do, let's try 300 and see how that does. This is actually a good use case for us to test things. If we change that to 300, what do we get? Is it closer, or did I just mess something else up? Let's like go to the extreme here. I don't think it moved at all. Or if it did, it was a very tiny amount. Yeah, no, okay, it's not that strange. Which one is it then? The elemental bonus strange. That's 7 mayhaps. No, healing charge fitness is not. Okay, jump costs are off, strength is off. Okay, strength is. That's 5. Yeah, let's change the X5 value. $255. Let's try 240. Dude, that didn't change at all either. Not that. Alright, stamina cost string definitely has. Yeah, it's at 7. Do we add it at 7 yet? I don't think we did. 363. Let's try 343. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. Okay. That's more like it. Oh, it's because I I subtracted 60 instead of 80. Yeah. Well, chat, this was a perfect use case. Well, this was a perfect example of why we did this in the first place. It's just with one singular edit, I was able to move all of these in all the frames. So we go down to the lower well. Yep, it's all nice and edited. Now, obviously, the buttons still need to be edited, chat, like their positioning, but we've got the text where it needs to be. That is huge. That is so, so important. All right, that, chat, is progress. Alrighty. I think on that, we'll end that on a high note then. Let's mark that complete and move on to the next one. Next time, of course. I meant... I've made a mistake. It's correct. It can be corrected very easily. Yeah, so the x8 and y6 values, they need to remain unchanged because they are negative values. Oopsie daisy. Let's fix that. Those should be negative 400 and... Sorry, those should be 450 respectively. Okay. It sounds bye. All right, thanks for dropping by, Quinn. Really appreciate it, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. All right, now let's correct. Cool. Alrighty, chat. Yeah, so we'll mark this as complete and then move on to the next stuff during NetStream. Dude, continue from here on 728. All right, chat, if you're watching on Twitch, feel free to stick around for a raid, but if you're watching YouTube and you like what you saw, please consider subscribing on YouTube. It's free to subscribe on YouTube, and I'll change my later. That's what show support. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope you have an amazing night.